Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the World Theatre Festival podcast. We've got myself, Robbie, we've got Craig.
Hello.
And we've got
me, Christopher Lee Power, with a dash. That's Lee-Power.
Fantastic, I love it. I love a strong, powerful name.
Good.
So you were part of our festival last year, weren't you?
I was.
In Craig's
Craig
play.
directed me in the island.
And you were the voice in that, weren't you?
I was the maker, wasn't I?
The man behind
The man
curtain.
behind the mask.
But then this year you've decided to put in some of your own work, haven't you?
I have.
So tell us a little bit about, tell us a bit about you first of all. What's your background?
Yeah, I grew up in Rock Ferry and I moved to Conway Street, which is here, in 1974. Always wanted to be an actor, but it was a struggle, certainly with the schools and the way I was diagnosed with hyperactivity and speech problems, so that was a barrier until I met my mentor at the age of 19, called Ron, and we just worked on my voice and worked for years on drama, on learning about the arts, and I finally got into drama school and graduated with an Oxford diploma. I wrote my autobiography in 2008. My wife encouraged me to write it. I was looking for a ghostwriter. She said, the only one that can write it is you.
Absolutely.
And it took me a long time, and many publishers said no, and then finally O Books said yes, and my book found its way into lots of bookshops, and I did the book launch and book tour. And I think 10 years ago we set up a charity called the Power Foundation, and it was at that point I decided, well, this could become a feature film. And over the years we chatted to directors, and we finally found a lovely BAFTA director who has now done the screenplay, but I was encouraged to do a play version of this, which I worked on before Christmas, and now it's in front of me, called Breaking Free. That's how I came to write my story.
Because, do you know what? I'm a firm believer, you, Craig, that a good story can fill any medium. It could be a film, it could be a song, it could be a play. Like, a good story is a good story.
Could be an audio play, could be a book. Has been a book. So we're just going through all the different mediums with you now, Chris.
We are.
So it is autobiographical then, isn't
It
it?
is. It charts really my early years in the 1970s right up to 2008 when I wrote it. Wow. So there is another book in the pipeline. Whether I will write it is another story, because people are always asking what happened after 2008. Well, a lot of people know, but that's another story.
Fantastic. And obviously, without giving away the main plot,
Yeah.
otherwise there's no reason to come and see it. What's the kind of rough journey of emotions like? Is it going to be something funny? Is it going to be scary?
Do you know what? It is a combination of grittiness with humour, and it's really about a young boy trying to find his identity. A young boy that has a vision as a child of breaking away from the mundane, really. I didn't want to be a footballer. I didn't want to be a cricketer. I didn't want to go into lots of things. For me, I was always focused on entertaining, and my mum and dad were entertainers as well. And for me, I found it a struggle growing up in the 80s. You know, I found it very difficult because I was, found myself just rebelling as a teenager. But once I found that mentor, it gave me hope really for the future. So to be honest, the play really is about a young boy that has a dream about becoming an actor, but has a lot of hurdles he has to overcome.
Obstacles.
One of them is his speech problems and also his hyperactivity as well.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Robbie.
No, go on.
So I actually came across your book before we met.
You
years
did?
and years ago, had a read of it, and I actually attended one of the auditions for when it was originally going to be made into a film. And one of the things that I found quite interesting about it was there's a lot of similarities, to be fair, between my journey and your journey.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people who are from similar kind of backgrounds can kind of connect with that. And I feel like it is something that has not gone away. So I feel like a lot of the things are still very much at the centre of a lot of the things.
So
that are
many
going
young
on
people
today.
who don't feel like they're understood or people get them, and you're finding it a little bit more and more because I work in schools. So something like this can resonate with lots of people.
And when you find your thing, and like I think the arts are particularly important for this aspect, it kind of gives you something to aim towards, and it's quite personalised, so you don't necessarily, like a sport, need to measure yourself against somebody else. You kind of just trying to discover yourself, and I've seen a lot of that in your story.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are aware of my journey. I've spent many years on chat shows, in magazines and newspapers, and also travelling around talking to young people. in schools as well about my life journey. It's relevant today. You see, back in the late 70s and 80s, a lot of the things I talk about, mental health, self-harming, addictions to glue and alcohol, and of course being involved culturally in a gang, they were taboo subjects. You found it very difficult to speak to people. We had youth clubs, but funding was very, very sparse. And is that right? Is that the right word?
Yeah,
Sparse.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't go to a youth club, you would find yourself on the street corner, on Conway Street, in the park, drinking or doing things you shouldn't be doing. And I think more funding needs to be, injected into the arts, but also into youth clubs and schools as well. I think it's important to educate young people in all these areas about the dangers, if you like, because they are powerful, aren't they? Addictions are powerful. In moderation, for example, if you don't mind me saying, because we talk about drink and alcohol, that's fine. But once it gets a grip of you, then it can destroy not only your life, but your friends, your family, and it takes over you. It took me a long time. I've been sober now for 33 years.
Yeah, I suppose there's always that question, isn't there? Is it something, do you want to have a drink or do you need to have a drink? And that's the big difference, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I got to the point of, first it was enjoyment, going to the park, going to a pub. And then when I found out I had anxiety and I had mental health problems because I worried a lot, I decided that the only way forward at that time, apart from speaking to friends or your mum and dad, who sometimes didn't understand because they were busy with their own life, I turned to alcohol, and I found that alcohol drowned out the problems, but it was temporary. Numbing, that's a good word. And then you'd wake up the next morning and you think, can I talk to anyone about my problems? And then you'd go back to the off license and buy another drink, and
these problems are still prevalent today.
Yeah, they are.
There's still things that people struggle with. I think everyone goes through that journey when they're younger, where they're a little bit rebellious and they might have a drink or have a smoke or do something. But I think more and more people aren't necessarily like growing out of that stage and progressing on. And I feel like we find them, especially with people who have a certain age, there isn't the things for them to kind of like the clubs to go to, the accessibility with like the youth workers that you would have been in contact with when you were younger. Like I do feel like the arts and those facilities are being stripped back a little bit, and I think like the statement that you just made, it's a reflection of what's going on right now as well. So it's not like we've kind of moved away from it and solved that problem. It's still here.
But I think that I'm not going to get political because I'm not a politician, but I think the government, I think other organisations need to wake up to the fact that the arts are vital in our community. Young people need the arts. I know through my research, talking to people who are part of the gang culture, if they had an opportunity to explore certain aspects of their lives that they wanted to do, whether it's hairdressing, mechanics, singing, rap, football, then and they've told me that would be a way forward for them to come away and break free from that vicious circle.
Problem for lots of them, isn't it, is it's the cost barrier, and that's why funding needs to be there, because if there's no cost, you can try things because there's nothing stopping you by yourself. Whereas I'm
disappointed in a way, and I'm not going to tell you or mention any names, but I have spent the last few months talking to so many people who are local and people in authority, I may use that word, asking for pots of funding to help display and other aspects of it, and to no avail. And that saddens me that a lot of funding is wasted on things that I either disagree with or are just not.
Yeah, I think in the world in general at the moment, I don't think money's being spent necessarily in the best ways.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting that.
And it's unfortunately there doesn't seem to be accountability for people who make bad decisions.
There's similar difficulties in the sense of running the festival. Like you kind of have to budget things very tightly, and we kind of we're self-funded now this year, and we've got to kind of make sure that we balance the books, because otherwise the opportunities like this to be able to show your work to as many people as we can sell tickets to, so like and buy tickets, as many people as we can reach. But for this opportunity to stay around is it's basically an entirely private operation by me and Robbie now
Yeah.
that are basically working as volunteers because we believe that this should be here for people that want to take advantage
Although it
of
must
it.
be said, we do have to currently also thank the Flora because they have been very generous with helping us with
Oh,
space
they've been
and stuff.
great venue to
Done the
partner
best
with.
they can
and
to
then
help it.
obviously we're also through them working
Yeah.
with the Williamson Art Gallery now. So we make the most of the connections and the relationships you have, but it's always going to be a struggle to be able to keep things like this afloat because there's just not that community aspect for theatre. in
Yeah,
this area.
I've just written an article, many articles. One of them is about being a working class actor. Within that, I talk about how actors locally. The problem I have is that I don't believe, and it's a personal opinion, that accent determines, that you are working class. I don't believe that. I believe that you can speak in any way. If you're working class, you're working class, and that to me is important. But sometimes over the years, people have harbored on about, if you have a northern accent or you speak a certain way, that determines that you're working class.
I think that's less and less though these days. It's still around, but I don't think it's quite as bad as it was in the early
And that's
days.
why I think it's important that local actors in this area have an opportunity to showcase their work locally, because it's so difficult for actors to get auditions sometimes.
Absolutely.
And certainly when you look at, some of the plays that have been put on in various areas of Merseyside, and I've heard stories of actors wanting to audition but not being given the opportunity because either A, they haven't got an agent, or B, these organisations are sourcing their actors from outside of Merseyside. And I think we need to be, it's important to give local talent the opportunity to do things like the World Theatre Festival.
Well, I always think local first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what we said. We wanted
yeah.
as many people attached to this festival in some capacity to be from the Wirral. And after we've put that out, if we still have gaps, then we'll go to Liverpool or to Merseyside. But we're always paramount for us because, again, there's so much talent on Wirral, as you're saying. And there's just not as many opportunities. And this is the opportunity we're trying to create to help.
I always say to young people, and I say this, never let anyone kill your dream. Young people have a dream, ambition to move forward. Let's take the arts. And I think it's important as parents or guardians to be very careful how we move forward when people say, I'd like to be an actor or get involved in the arts. And I think it's important as actors to also have another job. Do your exams.
Side hustle, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there will be many times when you are resting. Judi Dench said, Dame, God bless her, she said, if you are working as an actor, you are lucky. And that's very important. And so it's always good to either create your own work or have another job. And I always encourage young people to do that, but never kill the dream. Let them move forward.
Oh, I've said
Let
to
them move
people
forward.
like you can have a table and a chair in the corner of a pub and do a play if that's all you can do. You can start with anything. Start as small as you need to, and as you can get bigger, grow. Like if you've got the drive and there's something in your brain, you can do it.
Peter Brook, remember him?
I like Peter Brook. The Empty Space.
He's got the book, The Empty Space, and I remember saying to my actors, we're going to create a space. And this is just my interpretation, but it's a magical space. The moment you step into that, it becomes a performance space, wherever that is. It's sacred. And I think that you're right. Get a chair, create a space, you've got a performance. We're storytelling, aren't we? We're going right back to the beginning of time. And the cavemen, they'd all sit around either writing on the walls or sitting around campfires. Can I tell you something before you finish?
Of course.
In the 1980s, when I was involved in, the group of friends I had, or the gang, I should say, we enjoyed our lives. We had a drink, but we would sit around campfires with potatoes wrapped up in tin foil. We'd get them out and we would talk and share stories. I get emotional because it means a lot to me that today we should give more young people opportunities to explore the arts, and that's why I get emotional.
I think you've said it, to tell stories.
To tell stories.
Literally what to do, isn't it? To tell stories. Well, moving on, just quickly,
Yes,
because we haven't got
of
too
course
long left.
we haven't.
What was one of your first forays into theatre that really just hooked you? Because I know you said your parents were entertainers.
Yeah.
Like, what about you personally?
I can tell you right now. One of them is included in the play at the beginning, which we won't talk about because it will give it away. The second one, Conway Middle School on Conway Street. I remember going in there. I was 1978. Mr. Shardlow had cast A Christmas Carol, and he cast one of my friends as Scrooge, and I got the opportunity to play the little boy that runs off to buy the large turkey. And I remember dressing up. We went through this magical door upstairs. It was like a wardrobe. You'd open it and found yourself in the lecture theatre, the old lecture theatres. You two are very, very young. Am I right?
Ish, yeah.
20s?
No, I wish. 30s. 30s, yes, but you're very kind.
And the old lecture theatre where we performed it, and we couldn't find a turkey. So I wrapped myself up in my scarf, my woolly jumper, and all the parents were there. And the only thing we could find was an emu. And that's what we used in the play.
Why not?
And we performed it. And that moment in time, I felt this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Because I'm not a footballer. I do have a famous footballer in the family, but we won't go there. But I felt this is my home.
Mm-hmm.
And it did something to me. It ignited that passion for the arts. And from that point on, I had to overcome, as you said at the beginning of this talk, those obstacles to get to where I am today.
I mean, I just love the creativity. Like, we do workshops in schools, and sometimes kids say, "Oh, we haven't got this prop. Have you got it?" And I'll get an imaginary one and say, "There you go." And sometimes they'll look at me, and other times they'll take the arrow or whatever I've given them, and they'll walk off with it because I've seen it, they've seen it, and now it exists.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that simplicity. It's one of the things I love about working with young people. So to wrap up, then, when and where can we see Breaking Free?
Breaking Free is at the Floral Pavilion on August the 16th.
It's the Saturday, isn't it?
It's a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, get your tickets.
Yeah, they'll be on sale this week.
They will.
It's going to be part of a whole evening performance. You don't buy a ticket to one play, you buy a ticket to the evening, and you can see this and many other fantastic locally written plays. Craig, anything to sign off with? Because you've been very quiet.
I think nothing I could say could outdo the energy that Chris has brought today, so I'm just going to...
So if you've liked this energy, come and see the play, because this energy will be infused into the play. So thank you very much, Chris, for joining
you're welcome.
us.
Pleasure.
Bye from Craig.
Bye from me.
And bye for me.